Hi, third graders. Today, Mrs. Peterson decided to come outside for our very last building background video. It was such a beautiful day, I just couldn't help but be out here. But today we're going to talk about the story Becoming Anything He Wants to Be. And in this story that we're going to read, we're going to talk a lot about overcoming challenges and what challenges you might face if and how you could overcome those and move on with whatever is happening. So a couple of disabilities that people might have. One of them is that they could be blind. And if someone is blind, it means that they cannot see. Now, if you stop for a second and think about all of the things that you couldn't do if your eyes didn't work, and what kind of challenges that you might face if you were blind or couldn't see. One or a few different challenges that people might have is that they are unable to read, or maybe they are unable to play their favorite video games, or ride a bike, or go for a walk by themselves. But people throughout the years have overcome these challenges by solving their problem. And one way that they could solve their problem is by using Braille. And on the next slide, I'm going to show you a picture of Braille. But Braille is a set of raised dots that is on paper, and a certain number of dots together mean a letter. It stands for a letter. And so blind people can use their fingers and move their fingers over the Braille dots, and then they can actually read. So it looks different, or it might be a little different than you and I can read, but they are still able to read. They might also use guide dogs and hold on to the guide dog's leash, and that guide dog might lead them around and take them where they need to go. And you might also see blind people using a cane. And that cane is something that they can use to feel and to see around them because their eyes don't work the same as ours. They can use their cane to still be able to get up and move around and have that cane let them know where the obstacles are. Another challenge that people might face, a disability that they might have, is that they are deaf, which means they cannot hear. Their ears don't work the same as yours and mine do. And so in order to overcome that challenge and to solve that problem, really, and to show perseverance and work through and get through that, people might use sign language. Okay, so there might be symbols like thank you or more, all done. I know when both of my girls were little, before they could learn to talk, even though they weren't deaf, that we still used sign language with them so they could tell me if they wanted some more or thank you, so that they could ask for what they needed, even if they didn't have the words yet. Also, some deaf people are able to read your lips. And so if you're talking slowly, they might be able to read the words on your lips and know what you are saying. So even though people may have a disability, they still are able to overcome their challenge and do things just like you and I do. Now, here is a picture of that Braille that I was talking about. So if you look very closely, you can see those raised dots on the paper. And this book is written in Braille, and it's a form of writing that is used by people who are blind. The Braille alphabet is a series of raised dots that stand for different letters, and you can touch those raised dots to kind of read the Braille words. And if you look around at signs at restaurants or stores, or even at Clover Ridge, you will see some Braille underneath those words. That if we were to have a student that came to Clover Ridge that was blind, we would still have the Braille available for them. This woman in the picture here is walking with her guide dog, and she is blind. And if you're blind, you can't see, and it is considered a disability. She is also holding on to a cane, so she's using both pieces of equipment in order to help her. And a disability could be a hardship or a challenge because it makes it hard or difficult for us to be able to do something. But there is ways to overcome these barriers. And this woman is using a guide dog and a cane to get around. She's not just not doing things, she's using some other things to overcome her challenge. And in this week's story, we are going to read a story called Becoming Anything He Wants to Be. And this story is about a group of hikers that try to get to the top of Mount Everest. They want to climb to the top. And Eric Weinheimeier was one of those hikers. When he reached the top of that mountain, however, he could not see the view at the top, and he could not see the snow and the ice that's all around him. And the reason that he could only feel the cold is because he's blind. He's the only blind person to ever reach the top of the world, or the top of Mount Everest. On May 25th, 2001, he became the first blind person to climb to the top of Mount Everest. So think about having that challenge in your life of being blind and the things that we might not think that we can do. And Eric didn't let that stop him. He overcame his challenge. He persevered, and was able to get to the top of Mount Everest and be the first person to do that. All right, boys and girls, I hope that you enjoy the story this week, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day.